The house didn't just smell of grief anymore. It reeked of an absence so profound it had become a presence. 3 weeks blurred into an indistinguishable, agonizing stretch. My mind, once a broken record replaying Sarah's last moments, had become a warped tape, skipping, snagging, creating new terrifying loops. The lily of the valley perfume, once a comfort, now clung to the air, too strong, too sweet, like flowers left too long on a grave. I would catch a faint whiff near the sofa, then turn, expecting to see her, only for the scent to vanish, leaving behind the stale air of a house that had forgotten how to breathe. I told myself it was my mind playing tricks. Grief does that. Twist perception, makes shadows dance. But the shadows in our home had started to move with a deliberation that felt less like illusion and more like intent. A fleeting shape in my peripheral vision, just at the edge of the hallway, shrinking back when I snapped my head around. A dark smear against the window pane that wasn't bird grime, but something too human, too elongated, gone when I went to wipe it. I was losing my mind, I knew. But what if I wasn't? What if I was finally finding it, buried under layers of shock and denial? The clink of her favorite mug. It had been an echo before, a phantom sound. Now sometimes I'd be in the living room, reading a book I couldn't focus on, and a faint ceramic whisper would drift from the kitchen. I'd freeze, heart hammering against my ribs, convinced she was there, just around the corner, reaching for the kettle. I'd creep in, every muscle tensed, only to find the kitchen empty, the mugs hanging neatly on their hooks, the kettle cold. But sometimes, just sometimes, her favorite mug wouldn't be on its hook. It would be on the counter, a faint drying ring on the porcelain, as if it had just been set down. I'd pick it up, my fingers trembling, the ceramic still cool. Had I done it? Had I moved it in some sleepwalking haze? I couldn't remember. I started to take photos of the mugs on their hooks before I went to bed, then check them in the morning. It was a compulsion, a desperate attempt to prove my sanity or confirm its shattering. The humming started subtly, a low, tuneless vibration that seemed to resonate through the floorboards. At first I dismissed it as the house settling, or perhaps the distant hum of the refrigerator. But it was always Sarah's pitch, Sarah's rhythm, the same melody she'd hum while stirring soup or folding laundry. One night it was so clear, so distinct, that I sat bolt upright in bed, my blood running cold. It was coming from the hallway just outside our bedroom door. I held my breath, straining my ears, my entire body rigid. It stopped. Then a soft thud, like something heavy, but soft, falling to the carpet. I didn't dare move. I waited, listened, until the silence became an unbearable pressure against my eardrums. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. What if I opened the door? What would I find? The memory of her death was a constant raw wound. A drunk driver, a wrong turn. But the title of this unending nightmare, the one that echoed in the deepest, most shadowed chambers of my mind, was My Wife Came Home 3 days after she died. I had suppressed it, filed it away as a hallucination brought on by grief, by lack of sleep, by the sheer, overwhelming terror of losing her. But the details were beginning to resurface, not as coherent narrative, but as flashes, fragments of sensation. The doorbell, ringing in the dead of night, 3 days after the funeral. My bewildered walk to the door, expecting a neighbor, a well-meaning relative, the faint scent of lily of the valley, cloying like a funeral parlor. And then, her. I remember screaming then, a raw, guttural sound torn from my throat. But the memory was hazy, indistinct, like a dream that dissolves upon waking. Was it a dream? I had convinced myself it was, a nightmare born of trauma. But the fragments kept coming back, sharp and undeniable. The way her eyes were a little too wide, a little too black, the slight stiffness in her movements. The uncanny silence she carried, a silence that wasn't peaceful, but profoundly, terrifyingly empty. Last night I woke up to the sound of whispering. It wasn't humming this time. It was a low, sibilant murmur just outside the bedroom door. My name, or something like it. Gar. Gar. I squeezed my eyes shut, pulling the duvet over my head, telling myself it was the wind, the old pipes. But the whisper grew, taking on a familiar cadence. A breathy rise and fall that was undeniably hers. Except it wasn't. It was off. The pitch was too deep, the inflection flat, devoid of any warmth. It was Sarah's voice, without Sarah's soul. I stumbled out of bed, adrenaline coursing through me, and threw open the door. The hallway was empty, dark, but the lily-of-the-valley scent was overpowering now, sickly sweet, like something rotting beneath fresh petals. My heart was pounding, a frantic drum against my ribs. I knew then, this wasn't grief. This wasn't a trick of the mind. Something was here, something that had come home, and it wasn't my wife. Not really. I started leaving the lights on, all of them. The house blazed, but the brightness only made the shadows deeper, more menacing. Every creak of the floorboards was no longer her light step, but something heavier, dragging. I'd hear it from downstairs, then upstairs, from the kitchen, then the bedroom. It followed me, a relentless, invisible presence. I ate little, slept less, my body a trembling shell around a mind that refused to be still. I'd pace the house, shouting her name. "Sarah, are you here? Tell me!" But only the echoing silence answered, sometimes punctuated by that low, tuneless hum. The terror was no longer a dull ache. It was a living thing, clawing at my throat. I began to talk to it, to the empty spaces, to the shadows. "What do you want?" I'd whisper into the dark, my voice raw and broken. "Why won't you leave me alone?" I'd plead. The only response was the growing chill that permeated the house, a cold that settled deep in my bones, no matter how high I cranked the thermostat. One night the humming returned, stronger than ever. It wasn't outside the door this time. It was from the living room. I stood frozen in the hallway, staring into the flickering glow of the television screen, where a static image of a news anchor blurred. The humming was rhythmic, a low, guttural vibration that seemed to come from directly behind the sofa. I could feel the vibrations through the soles of my feet. A primal fear seized me. I wanted to run, to scream, to shatter the silence with any sound but my own terrified breath. But I couldn't. I was drawn forward, compelled by a horrible curiosity. Slowly, agonizingly, I crept towards the living room. Each step was an eternity. The hum grew louder, more distorted, less like a human sound and more like a strained, grinding noise. The air in the room was thick with lily of the valley, now mixed with something else, something metallic and sharp, like old blood and rust. I reached the edge of the sofa, my hands shaking as I gripped the armrest. My breath hitched in my throat. I could see the edge of something dark on the floor, extending from behind the couch. A shoe. Hers. I peered over the back of the sofa, my eyes wide, heart threatening to explode from my chest. And then I saw her. She was sitting there on the sofa, her back to me, facing the blank television screen. Her hair, the same deep auburn, fell over her shoulders, but it was matted, tangled, like seaweed pulled from a forgotten grave. She was wearing the floral dress she wore on our last anniversary, now stained with something dark and dry. Her head was tilted at an unnatural angle, resting against the cushion, and she was humming, that low, broken, tuneless sound. "Sarah," I whispered, my voice barely a breath. The humming stopped. Slowly, too slowly, her head began to turn. Her neck seemed to crack and pop with each millimeter of movement. I could hear it, a dry, grinding sound that made my stomach lurch. She turned to face me. Her eyes were sunken, hollow black pits in a face that was no longer hers. Her skin was a pallid, waxen gray, stretched taut over bone. A jagged tear, dark and festering, ran from her temple, down her cheek, and disappeared into the collar of her dress. Her lips, once soft and full, were drawn back, revealing teeth that were too long, too sharp, coated in something dark and dried. And from her mouth a faint, sweet, sickening vapor rose, smelling of putrefaction and lily of the valley. She raised a hand slowly, her fingers stiff and jointed, the nails broken and black. She reached towards me, her head still cocked at that impossible angle. And then a sound ripped from her throat. Not a whisper, not a hum, but a wet, guttural gasp, like a drowning thing trying to speak. "My home," she rasped, her voice a chorus of grave dirt and splintered bone. I stumbled back, tripping over my own feet, a scream caught in my throat. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. This wasn't Sarah. This was something else, something unspeakable. And it was here, with me. The thing that was wearing Sarah's skin began to rise from the sofa, its movements jerky, uncoordinated, like a marionette with severed strings. Its black eyes fixed on mine, and a faint, thin smile split its ruined face, revealing more of those awful broken teeth. It took a step towards me, then another. The air grew impossibly cold and the smell of decay intensified, choking me. "You're not Sarah," I finally managed to bellow, my voice cracking with pure, unadulterated terror. It stopped, its head cocked further, almost touching its shoulder. And then it let out a sound. Not a scream, not a laugh, but a mournful, rattling groan that reverberated through my very bones. Its ruined hand reached for me again, closer this time, fingers twitching. I fell back, scrambling away on my hands and knees, my eyes locked on the horror that stood where my wife should have been. It raised its other hand, and I saw then, sticking out from the side of its neck, a shard of glass, glinting in the dim light. Its smile widened, stretching the decaying skin, revealing a glimpse of something darker, deeper inside. It was coming for me, and I knew with absolute certainty that I was not meant to survive the night.